My name is Ali and I'm the head of sixth form EAL at Abbey College. So while we're just waiting maybe for a couple more people to join us, I'm just going to give you something to do. Here it is. So have a little look at my screen here. It says, use these ideas and write a definition for sustainable development. So you've got some different pictures here. As you can see, you've got something about wind energy, something about a cup and maybe recycling, or all that kind of coffee we drink, something about going to a different kind of supermarket without any plastic, people protesting for climate change, and finally people growing their own vegetables, which at the moment we're seeing a lot of in the UK. So just have a think, just going to give you just 1 minute. Think about these ideas. Can you write a definition for sustainable development? Then we're going to start to look at the aims of today's lesson. If you can write your ideas onto the chat, that would be great. Just 1 minute. If you're not sure where to find the chat, then if you go along your control panel to more, you will see 3 dots, and under there you'll find a chat function. I'm not sure if I can actually see the chat though while I'm sharing my screen. Can I do that? John, do you know if I can do that? Can I actually see the chat while I'm sharing my screen or not?
You should be able to, I think. If not, if you stop sharing, then hopefully it should pop up for a moment. We'll still see you.
Okay, so good. So Elizabeth has written something about going cycling instead of driving cars. That's awesome. Anybody else? Anybody else have an idea? Just 30 seconds. This is a bit of an experiment for me today because normally we're teaching on Microsoft Teams, so it's slightly different teaching platforms today for me. Okay, so hopefully you've written something. I'll have to have a look at that in a second. This is what we're going to do today then. So we are looking at English for the curriculum. So one thing that we do at Abbey is we're not just preparing students for English language exams. We really believe that a really big part of the English department is to prepare students for their A-levels, for their GCSEs, and also life beyond Abbey at university, and also for life outside of the classroom. So EAL is English as an additional language, so it encompasses all of those things. So this is an example of English for the curriculum, and it's called A Sustainable Life. It's something I'm doing at the moment with my GCSE class. I thought this might be quite a good one to do with you because I'm never sure in terms of people's level of English. So obviously for A-level students, this will be pitched much higher. So just to give you an idea of the kind of students this is aimed at. So we're going to focus today on developing your range of collocations on the topic of sustainability. So it's very much a vocabulary lesson today. You may not know what collocations are at the moment, but hopefully by the end of the lesson, if I do my job well, then you will. And we're also thinking about developing those key academic English skills. So like I said, this is not just about vocab for vocab's sake, but how does this link to the rest of life in the school at Abbey? So giving opinions, beginning to think critically, using your English to do those things, and becoming a language detective. So what subjects would this be linked to? It's obviously a big link to geography, but also things like sociology, citizenship, also a big link to business and economics, and also some maths as well. So we're going to watch a little video, and here are 3 questions that I would like you to focus on. I'm not going to read them out. I'm going to just copy them and put them into the chat for you. So normally when we're using Microsoft Teams, we have a great platform that we can then post things and the students can view it and all at the same time, which is really awesome. So I'm just going to see if I can now go to chat here. No, can't do that at the same time. So in the chat, there are now, no. Okay, so in the chat now, there are 3 questions that you should be able to see. I've done it twice. Okay, so it says, how does your definition compare to the one given? So when you were thinking about your definition, we're now going to see one from a video. How does it compare? What are the 3 elements? So there are 3 key elements for sustainability. What are they? How can sustainability help a company become successful? So think about 3 ways. I think they give 5. Just want you to think about 3. So if you can see those questions on the chat, that's great. Then you can make a little note on paper for those. That would be great. The video is only about 3 minutes long. We're only going to watch it just once. Hopefully now this will also work and you can hear it.
Sustainable development. Everybody's talking about it. What do those 2 words really mean? Let's take a couple of minutes to see what sustainable development is all about. The idea first emerged in the late 1980s as a response to the world's growing social and environmental problems. With globalization, the inequality gap between rich and poor countries is widening every day, and the projections for population growth are alarming. How are we going to feed a total of 9 billion people in 2050? How can we offer everyone access to clean drinking water, healthcare, education? How can we protect biodiversity and take concrete action against climate change? How can we make sure that industrial development means progress for everyone? The proposed solution was a new kind of development, or rather a variation of the traditional model called, quite simply, sustainable development. The term was officially defined in 1987 as part of the preparations for the Rio Earth Summit. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Does that sound a little abstract to you? Let's put it this way. Sustainable development means that growth must be accomplished with respect for nature and humankind. And where is sustainability achieved? Right here, at the crossroads of economic goals, social responsibility, and environmental protection. Now, are you wondering whether a company can combine respect for the environment, social equity, and commercial success? Well, the answer is yes. Not only that, but sustainable development creates value. Here's how. Upgrading production tools to use less energy and water is good for the environment and for the pocketbook. Offering eco-designed products and packaging that use just what's necessary saves materials and reduces shipping costs. Paying attention to employees, improving their quality of life at work, and helping them develop their skills all serve to strengthen their engagement. And stronger employee engagement means better overall performance. Creating products that are accessible to the world's poorest populations means opening new markets, the ones whose populations are going to grow the fastest between now and 2050. Monitoring the working conditions offered by suppliers and subcontractors means minimizing risks that could damage the company's image. As you can see, sustainable development affects just about everything. More and more companies today understand that they have important economic, social, and environmental responsibilities and are committed to making a difference. The ones that seize this opportunity to create value will find that their success is, in a word, sustainable.
Okay, so hopefully that has given you a little bit of a background into what sustainable development is. So going back to that first question, when you were thinking about what does it mean yourself, you were thinking about a definition. Some of my students came up with some really good definitions themselves already. And then we looked at the definition that was given. So the idea that it's development that meets the needs of the present, so what's happening now meets our needs without compromising, so without damaging the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So the idea of we're developing things now, but we're not damaging the resources for the future. Then the second question was, you had to look at for the 3 key elements of sustainability. So they mentioned them there. They are economic, social, and environment, and the environment, so environmental. So we're thinking about, when we're thinking about is something sustainable, we're thinking about the impact on the people, which is the social, the impact on the environment, and we're also thinking about the impact on the economy in terms of can we maintain this. And then I asked you to think about how sustainability can help a company become successful. And I asked you just to listen for 3 ways. So I'm just going to show you these. Obviously with my students, I would get them to, I will be eliciting it from them online. So here are the things they mentioned. The things in red are how it becomes successful, how it helps them become successful. The things in green, grey are the things they can do. So they can improve their production tools, which is going to help them to use less energy and water. They can offer eco products, environmentally friendly products and design to save materials and reduce their shipping costs. They can work to improve their employees' quality of life and develop their employees' skills, which will strengthen their engagement. And they can create products which are available to the poorest populations, so developing countries, which can open new markets. And finally, they should think about monitoring the working conditions of some of their employers or subcontractors, because this will help to minimize the risk to their company's reputation. So there's quite a lot of vocabulary coming up here already, which is useful. So I normally would get the students to we have a big vocabulary bank, which is a live document, a shared document, which we all can enter things into. So I would be getting the students to go onto their Google sheet and add the vocabulary from here and start to think about the words that fit together, which brings us on nicely to this one here. So we're going to start to have a look at some word pairs. So often what happens is many teachers, when they think about, well, I need to help the students with their English, they get them to write down words. The problem is the students, they know all these key terms, but they don't know how to use them in a sentence. So actually then they can't do things to get them a good grade, like talk about cause and effect, for example. So it's really important when we teach vocabulary that we teach students how to build it. So we teach them the blocks of language, not just a word on its own. So you're going to now do this little activity. Imagine you are my student. So I'd like you to think of a word that comes after the word sustainable. Sustainable is an adjective. So after sustainable, we're going to have a noun of some kind. I've given you an example here. Sustainable tourism. Okay, there are lots of others. What do we call these words that are often seen together? If you know, you can write your answer into the chat. If you can remember right from the beginning, my aims, there was a special word that means this. So these words that go together, that we often see together, most English people don't even know what this is called. They are called collocations. And the way to remember is, remember you've got co, which means together, and you've got location, which obviously means place. So these two words are often placed together or live together. That's the way to remember it. So what I would like you to do, I would like you to go to this website now, if you can, on a phone or minimize this, go to this website. So it's called menti.com, so www.menti.com, and put in this code and you will see this question. It says, think of a word that can come after sustainable, like sustainable blank, sustainable tourism, like I said. And I want you to put those words in and we should see a bit of magic appear here. If you can do that, that would be awesome. I'm going to stop hearing this one.
Ali, can you just read out the code for us?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I'm just going to go to, oops, 1 second. I'm just going to go to this one here and then you can you can see it here. 1 second. Oops. Present. Can you see it there? Oh no, because no, sorry, I'm not showing my screen now. Share screen. Here, this one here. Here. Can you see it now?
Yep, got it.
Great.
82563.
4. That's right. Great, awesome. This is growing, so you should be able to see this growing. So we've got some ideas. Let's have some more ideas. So obviously the bigger the word, this is like a word cloud. So the more people that write things in, the more we'll get. But also if people repeat the same word, that will be bigger. So we've got some great collocations here already. So we've got sustainable living, that's lovely. Sustainable investment, sustainable development obviously is quite big. Sustainable energy, sustainable attitude, nice. Sustainable materials, sustainable growth. That's a bit like sustainable development, isn't it? And sustainable law, that's great. Just another 1 minute. See if you can add this in, because this is really cool. If we can get some more, that would be really great. So this is something I like to do with the students, because if they add in their ideas, then you can add in 3. You've got 3 things you can add in. But then it kind of grows and grows. And then I can ask them lots of different questions, even like, how did you find this lesson, for example, and get some feedback from them. And you can see the words which are most important are the biggest ones. We've got some more. Sustainable life, nice. Great. Sustainable growth is the biggest one now. Sustainable investment is nice too. Yeah, so if you look at this one here, if you look at these words now, if you're still typing your words in, that's great, you keep doing that. If not, there's one word in here that actually we couldn't put together with sustainable. There's just one word, because actually it's not a noun, it's an adjective. It's snuck in here. So if you can try and work out which word actually doesn't quite fit, that would be great. Look at that, that's great. Sustainable government, sustainable planning, some really, really great ideas. So there's the one that is not quite right is the word economic. So we'd have to change that into a noun. So sustainable economy we could have, because that's the noun, isn't it? So this is a really good way to show students how to build it. Look, it's growing all the time. This is awesome. Yeah, brilliant. I love it. That's great. So we've got, so the key one is obviously development, which is really interesting, because that is kind of all of them together, isn't it? But it's really interesting as well that rather than just having, we often think about sort of sustainability in terms of the environment, but it's really interesting here. We've also got things like law, planning, the government. That's also really key as well. So I'm going to just close that one down. And that's great. Thank you very much. Really, really awesome. So you're going to have a go now at some collocations yourself. Here are some other ones we might have thought of, but your ideas were equally good. So other ones might be sustainable agriculture to do with farm, sustainable design, a sustainable future, sustainable resource, a bit like materials. I think energy we had, and tourism was my example. So in here, you've now got 2 boxes. So hopefully you can just do this on a piece of paper. Again, this is something that I would share with the students in advance, and they will be able to do it with a pen on their iPad, on their team class notebook, which they have just for themselves. So here you've got, down the side here, you've got some adjectives like sustainable, ethical, solar, and then down here you've got some of these nouns. So catastrophe, good one, power, footprint. So what I want you to do is match it up. So for example, sustainable could go with development. It does say more than one answer might be possible. So sustainable could go with quite a lot of these, but some of them can only go with one. So you might want to do it that way first. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. Your time starts now. So you've got about 1 minute left. The last 5 seconds. That's a nice noise to finish with. Okay, so now I'm not sure how I can, if I can get you to write the answer somewhere. If you put it in the question and answer, that would be awesome. Okay, so who has got, anyone got an answer for renewable? Does that work if you type it in? Maybe not. Under the chat, that's fine. I can see it here under the chat then. So we've got renewable, great, thank you. We've got renewable energy, awesome. Next one, ethical. Who's got one for ethical? Ethical trade, yeah, you can definitely say that. There's one that's really strong here. Not sure about ethical rights. I'm going to give you the answer. It is ethical fashion. When we talk about ethical fashion, we're talking about clothes which are made where people have, the employees have good conditions to work in, not in a big sort of factory, using materials that can be, that are more natural, that aren't using up resources so badly. Equal, what about the equal one? Equal rights, good. Okay, that was a big flurry there, good. So equal rights, absolutely. Zero, anyone know which one would be zero? Zero waste, that's right. So a zero waste life is when you're creating no rubbish. So my students and I, we listened to somebody talking about their life when they don't make any rubbish, which was quite amazing. Solar should be quite an easy one. Solar power, that's right. So it could also be solar energy, but we've got here solar power. CO2, so carbon dioxide. CO2 emissions, that's right. So CO2 emissions, we would talk about then, what does that actually mean? Environmental. Yes, environmental catastrophe. So one thing we would then do is to think about this word and think about how you say that word. How many syllables does it have? Catastrophe. Where's the stress? Catastrophe. That ending is strange because normally you wouldn't want to say the ending of an E in English. Carbon. What goes with the word carbon? Carbon footprint, that's right. So your carbon footprint is how much, think about footprint is what you leave like in the sand, isn't it? Or on a path. So the amount of carbon that you create, the amount of carbon dioxide, and sort of basically about your pollution level. Fair, this is again another really strong collocation about sustainability. Fair trade, that's right, good. We've only got 2 left, so it should be really easy now. We've only got 2 left. Environmentally friendly. What do we think? Alternative, that's right, yes, environmentally friendly alternative. But you could equally say environmentally friendly trade if you want to do environmentally friendly development, energy even. The last one, of course, is climate change. Great, so that shouldn't have been too difficult. Again, it's thinking about those words which are fitting together and making students realize that actually sometimes they can go with more than one, but sometimes they can't. And that's often the difference between a native speaker and a non-native speaker, is that a native speaker has a really strong feeling for these collocations and words that fit together. And sometimes when you're talking to a student, teachers will say to me, well, they speak really well, but they don't really sound English. It's often because they haven't got this feeling of what fits. Okay, so we're just going to check and make sure that we all understand what all of those words mean. Just get rid of that one. So, can I move that over here? Yes. So you've got a little gap, some gaps to fill now. So here are all your words down the side, not in the right order. So I want you to think, how would we now use these words in an academic text? So this is like a little introduction to what sustainable development is. So the first one, I'm going to just do an example with you. So nowadays, we are all aware of the beep that are happening as a result of beep. So probably something bad. So the first one is the environmental catastrophes. So I'm just going to give you another 2 minutes to see if you can fill in these gaps. Just again, just write down a bit of paper in the right order. Here are the words that you need. Your 2 minutes start now. So you've got about 1 minute left. Just the last 15 seconds. Okay, that was the end of the 2 minutes. So let me get my chat back up again. Okay, so who has got an answer for the first one for us? So Nowadays, we are all aware of the environmental catastrophes that are happening as a result of, what do you think? Very nice, good, Malika. As a result of climate change, that's right. And therefore, we are all trying to reduce our, so we're all trying to reduce our what? What's the next one? Thank you, Miss Malika. Again, great. So to reduce our carbon footprint, that's right. Companies and businesses have started to use something sources. Zero waste sources, yeah, could be. That's not a bad guess at all, actually. Something different in my little gap though. Renewable. Okay, so renewable energy sources, such as, this one should be quite easy. I think there's only one example in my list. Such as solar power. That's right. As a way of reducing their what? So what are they trying to reduce? You could have carbon footprint in here, but this one's a bit more specific. Their CO2 emissions, that's right, great. There are also many things that individuals can do, such as trying to live a something life. So what can an individual do? Anyone have a clue? So companies can obviously think about their CO2 emissions. What can the individuals do? Think about what? Nice, good. So an environmentally friendly, yeah, environmentally friendly life. Got some different ideas. Okay, I'm going to show you the answer. They can try to live a zero waste life, so not creating any rubbish. And searching for, what goes in this gap here? Someone's got the word alternative. Think about the actual whole collocation though. What do we need? Actually, that's quite a lot for you to type. So we're looking for environmentally friendly alternatives, this long one down here. That's right, great. Thank you, Anastasia, good. Searching for environmentally friendly alternatives. I'm just going to read that bit out again so we can keep following the sentence, the meaning. There are also many things that individuals can do, such as trying to live a zero waste life and searching for environmentally friendly alternatives, such as buying, and we've got two things. One of them goes with products, good. So the first one, great, Elizabeth, you're right, is ethical fashion. So the first one is such as buying ethical fashion, and then what's the next one? Good, fair trade products. So sometimes these collocations can go with another word to make an even longer collocation, like we've got renewable energy sources or fair trade products. We've only got two more left. So we've got, however, something is not only about the environment. What's this one here? Good, sustainable development, that's right. It's not only about the environment, it also includes the promotion of, this is the last one, so that should be quite easy now, equal rights, that's right. So like we were saying before, it's not just about the environment, it's lots of other things. You also mentioned the law before and the government, planning, all those kind of things. Okay, so this is a really nice little text now. So what I would do then with the students, I would get them to become language detectives. So by that I mean, down here, have a little look here. So this is this little text again. So I want you to think about, are there any other words so that are useful for you? So if you were going to be a student and you're going to have to write something about sustainable development or about anything else to do with geography or the environment, are there any other words and phrases that aren't in red and aren't underlined that you think are useful. What makes this an academic text? Because this is what students really struggle with. Now they've got these two little words they can put together, but can they actually use it now in a sentence with the tenses and the connectives? I'm giving you ideas. Have a little think. If you can write your ideas in the chat again, we just see if I can get my chat up for you to see again. Oops. There it is. So are there any words? I don't know where to put this now so you can see it. Are there any other words here that you think, or phrases? Good, thank you, Constantine. That's a great one, for example. That's right. So nowadays is quite often how we would start and like for an IELTS task 2 piece of writing. They include, that's great. Yes, that's right. It also includes, that's right. So rather than just saying, for example, we've got however, so we've got some nice connectives, however, therefore, become aware, that's right. Be aware of, that's right. Just the last 30 seconds, any more? This is really the big thing that students have a lot of problems with. As a result of, awesome, good. Also, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thus, is thus, I'm not quite sure, is thus in there? It might be. Searching for, great. Okay, let's have a little look at what mine looks like here. So look at these, look at all these blue things. So these are some of the things that I would focus on with the students. So like we said, we've got those connectives, you've got therefore, you've got even things like such as, so giving examples such as, not only, but it also includes. We've got however, so showing an opposite. We've got things showing a result, like as a result of, therefore. We've got like adding things like also, like not only, but also. And we've also got some interesting tenses. We've got things like the present tense. We're all trying to do something, and words that go with it, like we said, verbs like reduce our carbon footprint. And we've also got the present perfect, have started to, the idea that we don't know when it started, it just started in the past. And it's still carrying on now. We've also got these things like with ing as a way of doing something, or such as doing something. So here what I would get them to do is to categorize these bits of vocabulary. Which bits are connectives, which bits are tenses, can the connectives be categorized as well? So this is what I call this is what I call being a language detective. Because if students can do this, if they can learn this skill, then every piece of writing they get is a model for them that they can then use and take bits out of and use in their own work. And the longer the bit they can remember, if they can think, okay, have started to use renewable energy sources, that's a great phrase they can then use themselves in their writing, in their geography lesson, for example. Okay, so I would like you now to have a little think about sustainability in a more critical way. So, like we said, we've got 3 aspects to sustainability. One is the social, one is the environmental, and one is the economic. So just have a look at these questions down the side here, because these are going to help you. So like I said a bit before, the social impact is, what is the impact on people? So we're thinking about people in your school or in your company, and people in the wider community. Then environmental, the same. We're thinking about what's the impact on the school environment and what's the impact on the wider environment. And then for economic impact, we're thinking about the short-term, the long-term costs, and working out, well, is it worth it? So this one we're bringing in also bits of economics and business, and also some maths as well. So this is something I normally do with students in little groups. Even when we were on a team, I would set them up with a little group themselves, and they would discuss it, and then they would feed back. So now I know this is a little bit tricky. I'm just going to check how many people we've got. Okay, that's fine. So what I would like you to do is, I would like you to just to think about this yourself and to type your answer on the Padlet. So the question you're thinking about is this, task number 5. It says, think of something that happens in your school. So this could be in your company. Obviously, you're my student at the moment, so you can always think back to your time at school if you want to. Something that's either good or bad, and assess its sustainability. So use the Venn diagram here. So obviously in the middle bit, the white bit, that's when it's really sustainable, when you've got all these things are being met. So use this Venn diagram and the questions to help you. And I want you to type your feedback onto here. And I'm going to show you this in a second. If you need an idea, then you can use these ideas to help you if you want to. Maybe your school had a canteen, or your company does. Maybe you had to wear a uniform. Like, think about that. What's the impact on these things of wearing a school uniform? Maybe you had a school bus. Maybe you used a lot of paper. Maybe you had air conditioning if you were in a hot country. Maybe you had solar energy. Maybe you had your own wind garden in the school playground. Maybe you did some community work, or maybe you recycle. So you can use these ideas to help you if you want to. Then I want you to go to this address. I'll put this back on again in a second. So I don't know if you've ever used Padlet before. So Padlet is a really great place where you can get students to feed back their ideas. So this is one I've done, just an example. So you might think, okay, use of paper, that's something that happens in all schools, isn't it? Even if it's 2020, we still do a lot of stuff on paper. Although probably after the coronavirus, we'll all be using a lot less paper. That would be great. So use of paper, think about, so in terms of social, well, obviously that means that students and staff are carrying a lot of paper around. The environmental issue, there's lots of paper waste in the school. And also, obviously, there's a bigger, wider environmental issue of deforestation, and where does this paper come from? And then in terms of economic costs, I'm not sure exactly how much it costs, but I'm pretty sure that every single school's paper budget is pretty expensive. So that's what I would like you to do. And then I'd like you to think at the end, so overall, so is this sustainable or not? So looking at this, it doesn't particularly look very sustainable because there aren't any positive impacts. So overall, this is not very sustainable. Okay, so that is what I would like you to do. All you have to do on Padlet is you just do a double click and it comes up with that. So at the top, I'd like you to write the issue. So we've got, and then whatever, we've got a school canteen, or in your company, it doesn't have to be back in your school days. So put what it is and then put what's the social, the environmental, the economic, and then overall. Okay, that's what I would like you to do. Like I said, normally I would get the students to discuss this. So I'm just going to get you to have a think about this yourself. So back to my previous slide. There it is. I hope you can see. Can you see the Padlet? Can you see that at the bottom? So that's the link. I tell you what I'll do, actually. I will make it even easier. I'm going to copy this. Yes. If I copy this and put it into the chat. Oh, so you've done it. You've done it already for me, John. You're amazing. Look at that. Oh, Mr. John is on it. Ah. There you go. So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes just to have a go at doing that. That would be brilliant. You should be able to see them all appearing as well. It's great. I can already see ideas about driving to school and transport to work. That is great. Just going to switch my screen now so you can see the Padlet emerging. Here it is, which is great. So I really like using this platform with students because normally I would get them to sort of discuss it and then they would feed back in this way. But I like how it's quite quick and it's very easy for them to use. But it also means they can see everybody else's straight away. And so they can sort of see the expectation of the task through a little model. And then they can replicate that themselves. And they can also then make sure, you know, am I following the rules? And then they get to read as well. They get to read everybody else's ideas and see how theirs compares. So I'm not sure yet if we've actually got anything that is sustainable. We've got use of paper that is not particularly sustainable. We have a little look here. We've got transport to work that 3 people have, or transport to school and work that a lot of people have focused on. I think there's one that hasn't got a conclusion, but I'm assuming the first driving to school one says car jams. Or, yeah, okay, I think they're adding one now. Okay, so overall, quite a lot of things we're doing are not very sustainable, I see. Sometimes they have ideas where they focus on recycling. So when you've got a bigger class, more people are doing it, you probably have some things that are and some things that aren't. Someone else is just adding one as well. Oh, there we go, look, cycle to work, that's got to be a good one. Surely, let's have a little look and see what happens there. Good to end on a nice positive one, wouldn't it? But it's really interesting. A lot of people have focused on the driving. The food one's very interesting as well, isn't it? So the social, people eat high meal diets, farming methods, and the impact on the economy. That's great. This is also good for students as well, like you probably noticed, because often we get students to write a lot, like they go from writing a word to, okay, now write a massive text. But this is a really great idea for them to just write a little bit and again, get used to using those words that fit together. You know, like we've got here, pollution levels increase, traffic accidents, petrol increases, you know, using all those words like alternative, CO2 emissions. I can see all those lovely collocations, paper waste, forests destroyed. Awesome. So this is a really good way for them just to use it in quite an informal way and kind of get their heads and their brains and their fingers around the vocabulary before they have to use it in a more formal way. So overall, what's the outcome? Ah, look at that, cycle to work scheme, overall sustainable. Very nice. Yeah, good. Thank you, team. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to go back to my little presentation here just for the last thing. So overall then, so far we've done some listening, we've done some vocabulary, you've just been doing a bit of reading of each other's work, you've done some writing, so we've covered lots of the skills. Normally as well, like I said, I'd be getting the students into little breakout groups to do some speaking, which is easier to do when you know the students and how many people are going to be there. So I just want to show you what I would give the students to do for homework. So their homework now would be to go and do some research. So I want them now to go and see this vocabulary in a bigger, more authentic way. So this is actually what I set my GCSE students to do over half term. They've got to find an example of a green school or a green company or a school or company with a green initiative. They're going to make a slide. So I showed them how to make a slide. And then they are thinking about, you know, what does it do? Where is it? Why is it sustainable? And could we do any of those things? So this is leading on to a much sort of bigger project, linking these skills together. So the final thing that we would obviously do, so we need some kind of a little plenary, is we're going to do a little vocabulary race. Okay, so just see how many of these words and phrases you can remember from today's lesson. So you can put this on the chat as well. I'm going to just get my chat back again. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Okay, so, oh, and John has just put a reminder, if you do have any questions, then please do put them in the Q&A, and I'll have a chance to answer any of those as well. So the first one is, you're going to see who can type it the fastest. So you look at the definition and type the word as quickly as you can into the chat. The first one is this idea of word pairs that are often found together. What was that word? Who can remember? That's an example of one, but yes, that's it. Good. Elizabeth and Constantine. I think it was both together. The answer is collocations, the idea of co-location, they're words that live together. This is the key to sounding like a native speaker, and also reading quickly. We use this when we read to predict what's coming next. It's really, really a massive key to language learning. Okay, here we go. So here are some examples of some now, and I'm giving you a bit of help. Look, it's an adjective and a noun. Clothes that are made without harming the welfare of the workers or the environment or the animals. 2 words. Good, that is Anastasia. Ethical fashion, very nice, super. And then we've got another one. This is just a noun, just 1 word here, just a noun. The production of something, often a gas. It does go with CO2. It's the other half, Margarita, that you need. That's right, it's just the word, oop, emission that I'm looking for. That's the idea of something that's produced and released, is the emission. So here you've got an adjective and a noun, again, another collocation. The amount of carbon dioxide a person or company produces. So not emissions. This is another way of saying it. We need 2 words. Constantine's got 1 of them. An adjective and a noun. In fact, the first word can also be a noun as well. Thank you. Good. Anastasia again. That's right. Carbon footprint. Your carbon footprint. A business. So business where developed countries sell products and pay the workers in developing countries a decent salary. Adjective and a noun again. Fair trade. That's right, Malika. Super. Well done. So fair trade. And the last one, should be going to get this one now. So development which meets our needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Adjective and a noun. Sustainable development. Thank you very much, Mr. Constantine. Awesome. That's it. So thank you. That is it from me. But if you do have any questions, let me just stop sharing my screen here. If you do have any questions, let's have a look and see if there are any. If there are any.
If you have any questions for Ali, please do post them in the Q&A sections, and I will put them to her as well. You might be able as well to unmute your microphone as well if you want to ask that question physically. Just to give people some time to post any questions that they have. Ali, I've just got a quick question. Thank you for the session; it was amazing. Obviously, that was focused obviously on students improving their English, but through the use of a topic, which is obviously sustainable development, which could be, you know, of interest to students who are studying geography at A-level or GCSE or economics. How do you work with the departments to develop the lessons so that they will help students with their academic subjects? Is that something that you work hard on with the departments?
Absolutely. So this is something we are going to be doing as well, even more in September. So we have a person. We're really lucky. We have 10 EAL teachers, which must be like one of the biggest EAL departments in the country. So I often go to other schools and train teachers how to do what I've just shown you, how to link EAL and so link English with the curriculum. And often they'll say to me, but we only have like 2 or 3 of us. So we're lucky. So we have 10 teachers, and each one of them is linked to a different department. So there's someone who works with physics, someone who works with geography, someone who works with history, someone who works with biology. I think there are 3 of them who work with maths, because maths is really big. And then then what happens is the maths team will come to, they'll sit down together and say what's happening in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months on the curriculum, and they will show us the scheme of work, and they'll write some models for us, and then we will use those to create the lessons. So this is called content and language integrated learning. So you might have heard of CLIL, some of you. And lots of schools sort of talk about it a little bit, but really we are very lucky because we have a big team. We also have quite a flexible curriculum timetable, because we have 6 lessons, so we're actually able to divide that into the kind of EAL for IELTS, so focusing them on getting their qualification, EAL for CLIL, so focusing them on their subjects, and then also EAL for academic purposes, so getting them to do things like so not just sort of academic writing and all those little cohesive devices and the tenses and all the language, but also things like helping them to do things for university applications, like how do you do an interview, how do you write an email to university, how do you write a personal statement, and also when they first arrive, that key functional language, how do you even survive in a boarding house in the UK? That's something that most of them have never done. So we are very lucky to have that side of the team and to be able to really work closely with the departments.
Thanks, Ali. That's really interesting and a really good insight. I mean, how many for a student joining us, I mean, what does their timetable look like? I think you touched on that a little bit, but how many hours of English generally will they be taking?
So for when they're in the sixth form, they will have 6 lessons. So they'd have 6 lessons a week, so 2 for each sort of stream. So there are 3 different streams of English focus. So two will be focusing on IELTS, 2 focusing on academic English skills, and 2 focusing on CLIL, so on the English for the curriculum. And then only the students who are actually doing those A levels would come along. So if we're doing a session for English for psychology, it doesn't make any sense for students who are not doing psychology to be there. And like I said, I mean, this is kind of the one I did just now was more of a GCSE level. The ones that are for A level are very specific, and that's why it's tricky to kind of do a demo lesson for that, because if you don't do psychology A level, I'd have to first teach you the psychology, and I'm not a psychology teacher, so we would get a bit of a psychology model answer from a teacher, and we would look at it and say, look at how it's built up, look at how you've got this structure of paragraph, how you've got a point, how there's some evaluation, look at the kind of words they're using. So we would have to have that. We have to have a really big conversation with the psychology teacher to understand that. And that's why having this EAL link with each faculty is really useful, because then they become an expert for English for that particular subject.
Brilliant. And through, obviously, if a student's doing A level, for example, they're with us for a couple of years, how do you monitor their development, the progression in the English throughout that time?
We have a really detailed tracking system. So when they first arrive, they will do an IELTS baseline test with us, and that's all inputted into this big spreadsheet. Whenever they do, and we'll obviously be doing ongoing assessments all the time. And so that's all inputted and tracked to make sure that they are making progress. We tend to use IELTS to test them because it's something that's kind of familiar with the students and parents and agents and what they need to go to university. Then we can really see, are they meeting those IELTS targets to move on? Then that's also linked especially to the academic stream, because if they're doing, for example, if they have to write about a graph, for example, like a line graph in IELTS in the academic writing, they will be then focusing on things like present perfect or trend language, different synonyms for going up, going down, and fall, increase, and fluctuate and stuff. So then those teachers would work quite closely together to be tracking the individual students' progress. But it's all entered whenever they do any kind of, especially speaking and writing, then the teacher would write the grade they gave them, but also a comment as well, so we can see, well, why are they getting this, and I can track it all with the teachers to make sure that we aren't leaving any students behind. And we're also stretching the ones who can be stretched even further. And of course, we're lucky we've got pretty small classes of maximum 14, and lots of the classes aren't even 14, so we are lucky that I think it's quite easy to track and to see if anyone is struggling.
Brilliant, thank you, Ali. I don't know if you can just check your chat, because I've sometimes not, some of the chat questions don't come through to me, just to see if there's any sitting in the chat box. I can't see any in the Q&A.
I can't now. I don't
Maybe
even know if I can even. Oh, I've got this one. I don't. Now
there we go.
I can't see it though. I'm clicking on it, but for some reason it's not opening.
Okay, maybe we've got the same issue in that I can't see any questions that come through. DD, I think we have a question from you. Is it possible for you to post your question in the Q&A box, which should be at the bottom of your screen in the center, and then hopefully we can access it.
I have just found I've got them now. Sorry, I have just
excellent.
got them. Sorry. Oops.
So I've got a question in the Q&A as well, Ali.
Yeah.
I can put that to you if you want.
Yes, please.
Okay, it's from DD. They've asked, in vocabulary, how many words can students learn per day realistically, and your advice on how they can learn and commit it to memory. What's the best way to do that?
So I would say they can learn. I mean, you normally say sort of between 6 and 10 words per lesson, but bearing in mind that these students are having all of their lessons in English, they're not going to learn 60 words a day. So I would really say they could learn about 15 words a day, I would say. Really learn them. And the way that you would commit them to long-term memory. So people nowadays are always kind of, we don't really talk about rote learning, because that's not communicative and it's not, not fun, but really they have to learn them. So in the EL department, we do a lot of, like I just did at the end of the lesson, like a little mini test. Doesn't have to be like, write them down. It can be a race. It can be students describing them to each other. So the beginning and the ends of a lesson, normally we would have some kind of little vocabulary reminder. And I would encourage students to learn that vocabulary for that. They also have their own vocabulary sheet. So they've got a Google, we've got a Google sheet, Excel sheet, where we've got one tab is just for all the class, and then each student has their own tab. And I track that, and the teachers track that. So how many, it might be, your homework might be, okay, you're going to do this IELTS reading, yes, of course, but then you're also going to add 10 words that you think is the most useful. So that they have to be useful for students, for them to commit them to long-term memory. So you don't want them to waste time learning stuff that is not useful for them. That's the first key, is it relevant? Is it important? Is it relevant? Can they use it? And then if they can use it, then that's the way to commit it to long-term memory, is to use it. So like you just did in my lesson, we're looking at matching them up, and then straight away we're using them to communicate in an authentic way. And it's similar if you're kind of, if you're reading, students always go, I'm going to read a book and I'm going to learn vocabulary. You're only going to do that if you write it down and you set yourself a target and say, right, these words are not useful, those words are useful, I'm going to use these in my next history essay, or my next English essay, or my next conversation with somebody. So that's the way you've got to use it as quickly as possible. And there's a graph about, like, after a week it will completely disappear if you haven't revised it. So what you want to do is revise it after a day. So kind of a bit like I did. So in the lessons, you revise it straight away, and then revise it after a day, revise it after a week, and then that will stop the tail off of vocabulary getting it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ali. I mean, there's a second part to this question as well, which DD has asked. Well, there's actually 3 parts. I think I can answer the last one. But they've just asked, if they're IELTS 5.0 now, how many hours and how much time will it take to become 7.0? I know that's a difficult one to answer, but they've also put that many language schools say that with 20 hours per week, you can get in 3 months, you can improve a band in IELTS. I mean, I think just generally, how are you finding the students progress from the beginning up to their final IELTS?
It really, I mean, that is very difficult to say. I'm not quite sure I'd be really doing anybody a favor by putting a time limit on it, really, because some students come to us and they've taken IELTS to come to us, maybe got a 5, but they've never had any lessons in IELTS. They don't really know anything about exam strategy. So IELTS is kind of 2 things. One is your level of English. It tests your level of English. However, you can be have a really good level of English, but if you don't know the exam, you might not get the best score you could possibly get. So we have some students who might only need, I mean, I always say, if you've got a good level of English, then I can teach you how to pass an IELTS and get a 7 in probably 5 lessons, to be honest, because it's about exam technique. If you've got a good level of English, if you haven't got a good level of English, then, you know, again, and it's very difficult to say, some students are more linguistically talented, some students are more committed to speaking English in outside of the classroom. If you've got a student who comes and refuses to speak any English outside of the classroom, then, to be honest, that's going to take them a very long time to get to a level 7. They say as well that, I mean, research shows that you can improve your spoken English to that of a native speaker, or at least be able to communicate fluently within 2 years. So this is what all the research in EAL and English language teaching says. However, to do the same in terms of academic writing, it takes at least between 5 to 7 years. So even if you've got an IELTS level 7 in writing, that does not mean that you can write like a native speaker. It's still not particularly high to go to university. And that's why we're changing our approach now, so that we're not just focusing on, you know, on getting them through the IELTS exam. We want them to get better at the writing part and this vocabulary development, because that's what's going to make a difference to them in terms of their A-levels, in terms of their IELTS, and in terms of their future life at university. So I don't know if it really answered the question in terms of how long they need. I would say in a year, some students in a year will go up a band. Some students in a year might go up 2 bands. Some students, you know, if they're not committed to learning English and they spend all their time, you know, on video games and, you know, not speaking anything other than Chinese, because it's very, you know, if they're not committed to that, then I think it's difficult so it'd be very difficult for me to say. It wouldn't be fair if I said, yeah, I can get all students to improve XYZ amount in XYZ time.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair answer to that question. Obviously, it depends on the student's commitment and the work they put in, alongside, you know, the work that you guys do as well. One thing I would say in Dee Dee's case is, for a student looking to come in for A level, we have a minimum IELTS requirement of 5.5. So if you're IELTS 5.0 now, we'd be looking for a student to come in with around 5.5. If you don't have that in September, then we do have pre-sessional courses as well, which can prepare you both academically and in your English. We would teach your English alongside your A levels, and we teach the academic English until you would achieve an IELTS level of 7.5. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean all students will achieve an IELTS level of 7.5, but that's the level that we will teach to until you achieve that. So you might have English lessons for the whole time you're here. Universities will ask for an IELTS level.
John, can I just interrupt you? Because that's actually something we're going to be changing as well. So from September, students going into year 12, that will be, for them, they will have 2 years of EAL. So even if they get their IELTS, because we're going to have these 3 strands, they will be able to, there's no point in them doing IELTS lessons if they've already got the level they need for university. But there is a lot of point in them still having lessons for CLIL and for academic skills. So they will still have EAL lessons with us for the entirety they're here, because like you said, I think right at the beginning, the most important thing these students can be doing, if they're not a native speaker, is English, if they're not in their A-level subjects, because that is going to have the biggest impact on their A-levels, bigger than anything else they can possibly do.
Okay, well, that's great, because we know that, you know, the top UK universities, your Cambridge, your Oxfords, ask for an IELTS of 7.5, which we want our students to achieve, but also we will continue your English to help you achieve that, but also prepare you for your A levels and for university beyond.
That's right. Yes.
So that hopefully gives you, Dee Dee, a good idea of the kind of level that our students come in at and the level that we're preparing them to and beyond. So there is a high level of English support, both at Abbey College, Cambridge, and our London and Manchester colleges as well. And hopefully you guys have seen through Alison's presentation the kind of emphasis that we put on students developing their English language and written and comprehension skills as they go through the course. It really is key to good grades and also to a place at a top university and success beyond that. I think that's all the questions, Ali. So thank you very much.
There is one
Oh, we've
other
got one more.
There's one saying, are they divided into their English language level? Yes, they are. So we have, they are in year 12 and 13. So they are divided into stronger ones and weaker ones. That's all done in that first week when we test them rigorously when they get wrong.
Brilliant, brilliant, great. Thank you, Ali. Well, we'll sign off in a moment. I'll just say that we will send you a copy of the recording. And when you get that email, if you do have any other questions, Dee Dee, you did ask an additional question about reading, and I can send you some reading lists that we would send to students who are coming in for A-level as well. So that will include some English reading, but also some subject-related reading as well. So I'll send that to you via email. And if anyone has any questions or anyone wants any follow-up, please do let us know via that email and we will send that to you. But I think for now, we'll let Ali go. Thank you for that very interesting and informative lesson. Very participative as well, which I really enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks guys for being here as well. It was really nice to see, well, to know you were there, not even to see you, but to know you were there.
Thanks very much, guys. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.